Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. Proposal being developed for high schools to get generic grooming policy. PNP accuses the JLP-led government of unfairly distributing grants to Hurricane Beryl victims. And later in sports, Jamaican Scorpions lead selector happy with Super 50 squad. Thank you for joining us. I'm Shamela Pullen. Here are the details. The Jamaica Association of Chairmen for Secondary Institutions is in the process of developing a generic grooming policy for high schools. That's according to the association's president, Courtney Winter. Mr. Winter was speaking with a reporter outside the general meeting for principals and vice principals in Trelawney recently.
And we're actually in the process of doing is to work with the attorneys at our disposal to come up with what we would consider to be a generic grooming policy that all high schools could use, that will satisfy the court, will satisfy the Ministry of Education, and also withhold that standard.
Despite guidelines from the Education Ministry that school administrators should not bar students because of their grooming, students are still being locked out of institutions. Mr. Winter noted that all schools will have their standards and he's not against that.
I can understand the arguments. The appeals court was very clear that you cannot discriminate against someone in respect to their hair. However, the court was also very clear that it cannot be for free for all. What most schools are trying to do is to say to their students or their constituents, look, deportment is important. The way you carry yourself, the way you dress, the way you wear your hair is very important.
The Jamaica Labour Party and the People's National Party are locked in a heated dispute over Hurricane Beryl relief efforts. The PNP claims many affected individuals are still struggling due to a bias in grant distribution. But as Kalisha Williams reports, the JLP continues to defend how it has been handling recovery efforts.
People's National Party MP candidate for South Manchester Peter Bunting telling party supporters at a meeting in St. Elizabeth on Sunday that he's not pleased with the progress of recovery efforts in the aftermath of Hurricane Beryl.
I read a media story recently. Beryl Jr. said that 82% of houses damaged in Hurricane Beryl, 82% of the owners have received assistance.
He believes if the government's data are anything to go by, then something is not adding up.
Manchester, South Manchester and South St. Elizabeth were probably the hardest hit constituencies. And out of the four of them, only one could recognize a handful of people who had received assistance. Comrade Leader, sure, today when you toured, there were still many houses without roofs.
Which is why he had this question for his JLP counterparts.
The needy who are receiving these assistance payments, or is it the greedy who are receiving the assistance payment?
But speaking at a concurrent meeting in Trelawney on Sunday, MP for Northwestern St. Andrew and Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark lauded the Andrew Holness administration for how assistance payments have been made in the wake of the hurricane.
Thousands of Jamaicans who were affected by Hurricane Beryl were able to get grants from the government. Grants 50,000, 100,000. Those who lost their homes completely were able to get $400,000.
In fact, Dr. Clark said the government was more prepared than any other administration to plan and recover from the hurricane.
We had the discipline to set funds aside from the periods of expansion and put it away, like Joseph put in Egypt. He put the straw from the harvest away in the barn, that when the famine came, he could go
Kelisha Williams, TVJ News.
Member of Parliament for Western St. Mary Robert Montague has announced plans for the development of an additional terminal at Ian Fleming International Airport. He was speaking at a sports changing room handover in Arakabessa recently.
Also, an additional terminal will be built at that section. A call center will be established, warehousing, aircraft hangars, a commercial center, and also an urgent care, a medical facility will be also placed there so that it would make it easier for persons to be picked up by air ambulance. In addition to that, we are expecting another international carrier sometime early next year to begin servicing the Ian Fleming International Airport. And come the 5th of December, American Airlines will be moving from 2 times per week to 7 days per week coming in from Miami. And we also expect other carriers to come in and to invest in the community.
Concerns again over living conditions of some residents in southern Clarendon. Last week, it was revealed that 12 people are still living in the shelter at the Rocky Community Center. Minority leader in the Clarendon Municipal Corporation, Cian Barneswell, says this is unacceptable.
And it can be so difficult, Chairman, to get these people removed from the centre and put to a place where they can now be more comfortable. The councillor is sitting here, and I'm not even sure this happened here, Chairman, but it cannot be that after 4 months, people are still living in shelter. In Jamaica, bear in mind that Beryl only passed just some miles, I think it's about 190 miles from Jamaica. If it had passed over the island, what would have happened?
Mr. Barneswell says the system in place to gather information from affected persons is not ideal and slows up the process.
These persons who were affected, they were assessed, and still yet when they went to the office to check, they have not seen their name in the system as being affected. And that is also troubling, Chairman. What even further bothering is that many persons doesn't have a TRN, tax registration number, and as a result, they cannot get registered. And that too is bothering. I am saying, Chairman, the same way we accept the voter's ID, the passport, the driver's license, is the same way those persons could use those government ID to get registered, but to keep them from benefiting from whatever relief support because they don't have TRN. It's really not fair to those affected persons, Chairman, and I'm appealing on their behalf that the Minister and the Ministry reconsider that approach.
Local Government Minister Desmond McKenzie is facing mounting pressure to fulfill his promise of funding care packages for Hurricane Beryl victims. Councillor of the Alligator Pond Division, Omar Robinson, claims that since the hurricane's passage on July 3, a commitment was made to distribute benefits to various municipalities, with each councillor receiving $500,000. However, nothing has been received to date. Mr. Robinson is urgently calling on Mr. McKenzie to address the situation. It's time for a break. Stay with us. More stories when we return. Welcome back to the Midday News. A St. Anne family needs your help to locate a relative who is missing for 4 months now. She is 58-year-old Marva Reed from Cave Valley in the parish. According to reports, Miss Reed left home on July 25, but has not been seen or heard from since. Her daughter, Onisha Grant, is worried.
It is a real challenge for the family not seeing her for 4 months now, because we don't know where she is or anything like that, and we are wondering, we are hoping for her to come home as she normally does, like go out and come back home. So like my grandmother, my grandfather, they are there just waiting, saying that she will just come back home, so no need to worry. But I am hoping and wishing for the best while searching for her.
Miss Reed is said to frequent Brownstown and Ocherias. She also has mental health challenges.
Mom, Marva, if you're out there and you're seeing this broadcast, the family misses you. We want you to come home. We are worried about you. And I cannot do this anymore. Living not knowing where you are, and I'm very worried. If you see this, please come home and let us know that you're okay.
You can call Miss Grant at 876-203-6265 or 876-455-5336, the St. Anne Police, or 119. It's now time for the Business Minute. The government is providing a $200 million grant for the University of the West Indies to establish a fiscal research center. Minister of Finance and the Public Service, Dr. Nigel Clark, says the provision is a special grant in addition to the usual subvention of $200 million. Approval for the disbursement was given last Friday, October 18. The center will foster innovation and collaboration in the areas of public finance, economic research, policy design, and institutional reform for countries across the Caribbean and beyond. It is also intended to teach and share knowledge on public financial management techniques and practices. Additionally, Dr. Clark says the center will support the development of policy based on the research conducted. Further afield, Honda has announced a recall of roughly 720,000 of its vehicles due to potentially defective fuel pumps. The automaker says the pumps could leak and pose a potential fire hazard. So far, there are no reports of accidents or injuries related to this issue. Among the cars included in this recall, 2023 and 2024 Accords and Accord hybrids, and 2025 Civic sedan and sedan hybrids. 2023 through 2025 CR-V hybrids are also in the list. Affected vehicle owners will be contacted by mail in December. Honda dealers will provide free inspections and a free replacement of the fuel pump if needed. And that's it for the Business Minute. And let's see what's coming up in the health report later in Primetime News. In this evening's health report, we look at oral or mouth cancer.
Believing that herbs and other things can cure some of these things, but regrettably, that delay allows the cancer to spread even further.
Have you seen that?
I have not seen it, but I've heard of it, yes.
That's the health report in Primetime News at 7. And now for today's healthy living tip. See your dentist regularly. Practice good oral hygiene. Protect your lips. Avoid smoking and limit alcohol intake. It's now time for the top regional and international stories.
In the region, Haiti's Justice Ministry is sounding the alarm for increased security measures to protect Prime Minister Gary Conille and other top officials. This is due to credible unspecified threats from malicious actors seeking to stir up trouble and panic. The ministry is urging police and judicial authorities to take swift action to ensure the officials' safety, although neither the Prime Minister's office nor judicial authorities have commented. This warning comes at a crucial time as gang violence escalates in Port-au-Prince neighborhoods not already under gang control. The situation is considered dire, with over 4,000 people left homeless following recent attacks targeting communities in the capital. On the international scene, the federal government has approved over $300 million in assistance and debris removal from North Carolina after Hurricane Helene. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre announced a new program to provide additional aid, including a community liaison initiative to connect FEMA with affected residents. This comes as Governor Roy Cooper warns against misinformation, specifically from former President Donald Trump, who claimed the federal government wasn't doing enough to help. And those were the top regional and international stories. I'm Carrie Simpson.
Thank you, Carrie. We take another break. Sports is next.